Welcome to Remainders, where we talk about all the movies that remain. Today, we're going to be talking 10 years in, maybe the greatest action movie of all time, Mad Max Fury Road. My name is Patrick. With me, Darren, looking fantastic in his Fry the Coop t-shirt. Love the food there. So how's it going, bud?
Oh, you've actually tried the food at Fry the Coop then, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I went on there looking for your artwork on some of their stuff. So
I was going to say, that sounds like we should have a placement, an advertisement placement here on Remainders for Fry the Coop. Man, I'm doing good. It's, I just want to say before we start, I'm ashamed of myself.
Oh boy.
I'm ashamed of myself for not seeing Mad Max Fury Road for 10 years. I watched it for the first time last night, completely blown away. Wow. And the whole time I'm just thinking, wow, I owe Pat like a serious apology. Not that I thought you were wrong about the movie. No. I just kind of dismissed it for whatever reason. It's like every movie that you don't see, you're kind of like, can it really be that good? Well, yes. It really is that good. And we watched it in black and white, the Chrome edition. So for anybody out there, there is, I guess, a Chrome edition. And I hadn't even seen the color edition. So this is my first time seeing the film, and I saw it in black and white.
Well, I think we're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about. But yeah, this is kind of one of my favorite kind of, I don't know how to call it. Maybe vibe of episodes where it's one of us has seen the movie, one of us hasn't, and it's a special movie for one of the others.
Oh, right.
And kind of seeing the reaction from the other person, because it really kind of captures the vibe of the podcast itself and us working at the video store. It's like, it's a recommendation based podcast. That's like why we're here. We're like just shedding light on movies that we love. And so for me to kind of force you to sit down and watch this movie and then hear that reaction is awesome. I love to hear it. So
yeah, I think that's kind of the cool thing. I like that you kind of framed it that way because this is episode 70 for everybody out there. If you've made it to 70 with us, God, we love you. I mean, we've had 70 episodes, and number 50 was another one of your favorite movies, RoboCop. We watched RoboCop, and I had, seen that film before, but it was still pretty, it's cool because I watch it with a different lens, knowing you love it so much. And I would have never watched RoboCop, thinking about all of the sort of deeper meaning. It's just like, for me on the surface, it was like RoboCop, cool. It's like some fucking action, cool. The guy turns into a robot after getting shot, but there's actually a lot of deeper meaning behind it. And I got a lot out of it from that episode. But then fast forward, and then when you said, we're doing Mad, and I don't know if you knew it was the 70th episode, and that's why we did Mad Max Fury Road this time. Okay. But I 70,
thought it was 70 doesn't mean anything. Oh, I'm waiting for your pick for 100. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess when we get to 100, it'll be mine. But
no, this is the 10th anniversary. That's kind of why I pushed this further, because this is we're in basically May now, and so it's exactly 10 years ago that Fury Road came out, and so time flies when you're having fun watching a good movie. So
yeah, I mean, I watched it last night for the first time, and like anybody out there who's like, you're an idiot, and you're right, I'm an idiot for not watching this film. Especially an idiot because it was playing at the Vista for like a matinee a couple weeks ago, and I even took a picture of the marquee and sent it to you. And I didn't go in the frickin' doors to watch this movie on the big screen. I mean, it was awesome watching it last night, but it's not the same as seeing it in the theater. This movie, I imagine, is just totally a theater like experience like no other.
It's it stands only behind the original Jurassic Park, and nothing will ever beat that. But most amount of times I've ever seen a movie in the theater, nothing will ever beat Jurassic Park. I can't even tell you how many times I saw that at the Dollar Theater.
I mean, anybody that's of our age. Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like if I had to guess, it was possibly like 11 times over the course of 6 months.
Yeah. Over 10 for sure.
Yes, but second is probably Fury Road. The amount of times I saw this in the theater, because that experience is certainly one that I'll never forget. Because, and we'll get more into it, like talking about backstory. But I was always familiar with the Mad Max movies. I liked them. They certainly weren't like anything that I held like of huge regard or anything. They were just like really cool, innovative movies that, I had seen several times, but to be blown away in 2015 when this came out and to see it in the theater several times was certainly one experience that will always stick with me. So,
I mean, I don't know if I should be more shocked that I didn't see this movie in 10 years or the fact that 2015 is 10 years ago. That's crazy. It just feels like it was just a few months ago. But
we got shocking stuff just coming at us all over the place. So
yeah, I'm just I'm blown away. This episode is blowing me away. But last night I'm watching this film and I was thinking about the original films and that I had seen them. Of course, the Thunderdome, you got the Tina Turner song, right? And also this is like Mel Gibson's like superstardom films.
Yeah.
And I do believe that my father was a fan of the Mad Max films, and that's where like my first understanding of them came from, or like where they kind of were on my radar. Because I don't think I was like at that age like old enough to watch these films, because even the originals I think are a little brutal. But the idea that I do remember is I think when I got to high school, when when I first saw Vertigo for the first time, and I'd start to figure out like films in general and what they mean, deeper meaning, talking about social commentary, things like that. This movie I do definitely recall that was made, the original Mad Max was made because of an oil crisis in the world, right? And that's kind of, and I'm sure there's a lot to talk about in Fury Road kind of based on that, because I think it goes to another level of that. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume it came out of that the 70s oil crisis for sure. But yeah, like I said, like there were movies that I had seen. I don't think I saw them until my 20s, to be honest, the originals, and I think I watched them all in succession. I definitely, like most people, I liked Fury Road the most. I think that was the one that was kind of just most fun to watch. The original, I rewatched every single Mad Max movie except for Beyond Thunderdome for this episode. Just
really? Oh, good. I'm glad you did, because I can't recall like a ton about those movies other than what I just said. So
I mean, it's funny how like Fury Road is full on dystopian. Like it mostly gets to that by Road Warrior and certainly into Beyond Thunderdome, and then Fury Road. This is like just complete desert world. Like there's no semblance at all of any type of humanity as we know it, like a modern civilization functioning. And rewatching the original, like it is so like in normal humanity still. Like they still have cafes, they still have nightclubs. Like you can actually sit down and just order a meal and have a waitress. So it's like it's easy to forget like how much like the original was actually still in a functioning society to where it is now with Fury Road and Furiosa. So that was definitely one of the main takeaways rewatching that one. And then the second one is it's great. Like it's just so like of the day, like grindhouse cinema, like full on chase scene, and you have like an iconic performance by Mel Gibson. Like he's like he is Mad Max, which is one thing that why this movie took so long to get off the ground. The idea that Mel Gibson wasn't going to be Mad Max,
right?
So
anybody controversial. Could be, Mad Max other than him, of course,
right.
Yeah.
It's like just like it was such an iconic role for him that the idea of like not doing it with him. That's why the movie took like 20 years, because like it was being produced for years with him as Mad Max doing the fourth movie for Fury Road. So
I didn't know that. But I know there's a book out, and I recall you talking about it and that you read it all about this. Yeah. So now I want to read that, and I know you loved it.
Blood, Sweat, and Chrome: The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road by Kyle Buchanan. So it is an oral history. So that's why it's actually a really easy read. Like they have like a quick essay for each chapter and kind of a summation of themes, but it's mostly just quotes from all the filmmakers, all the actors, everybody involved in it. So it's like a super easy, digestible read, but it's like so illuminating. Like I haven't read it for a couple of years, so a lot of the details I don't quite remember, but it definitely gave you a huge backstory of the 20-year. Like I said, I think it was 1995 of when like the official like, all right, this is a movie we're going to start making. He had the idea in the 80s for the fourth Mad Max. and started kind of doing it in 95. And it took a full 20 years from start to finish to actually get the movie completed on screen in 2015. So,
well, I mean,
it's
it's executed perfectly. And maybe that's why, because maybe some of the shots he wanted, I mean, you could tell me, but there also some of the shots that they put together just seem like impossible, like to shoot. I'm sure there's a mixture of different things like CGI and things like that, but it is done so well. It's directed so well. It looks fucking fantastic. Again, I saw it in black and white, so I haven't yet to see the color version. But
and that's why I was so enthusiastic to kind of introduce you to it with the black and white version. Like, I mean,
it's kind of like -1 when I saw it. I think I saw -1 only in black and white. I don't think I even seen that in color. Yeah. And that was, I remember everybody saying you got to see it in black and white. And yeah, it does something to you. It's cool seeing the movie for the first time in black and white when you know there's a color version available. It's almost like I don't want to ever see Mad Max Fury Road in color now because I loved it so much in black and white.
Yeah. And I'm biased. Like, I love black and white in films. Like, I would never, like, I rarely will watch just a movie that's not intentionally released in black and white, but I often rewatch a movie in black and white. It's like whatever the director is like intending. I'm not going to just turn off the color if that's the version they prefer. But like, I just absolutely love what black and white does to movies. And I've just always been pretty biased about that, especially with such visually driven movies, which is this one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of like, because there's so much carnage and because there's so much action, it's kind of like, don't let anything get in the way of that, just kind of like make it just like in your face as much as possible, because the color, I don't know, again, I haven't seen the color version, but it seems like the color could get in the way a lot of like what's happening on screen visually. You just kind of want it to be, as digestible as possible the first time you see these scenes. They're beautifully done. I mean, really good. And we'll get into,
to be clear, I would still recommend watching the color version because it is gorgeous. And that was like the original theatrical version for sure. So like, I'm all for, I love both versions.
When we talk, I just want to make sure when we talk about cast that I talk about it first, because I want to tell you my first take on cast. But before I do, so because you have more knowledge of this, was Fury Road, is it supposed to be in the universe of Mad Max, like in succession of it? Like, is it supposed to be the fourth one?
So ambiguity is the name of the game with Fury Road. It's like, so it could 100% be a direct sequel. Like, this is Mel Gibson, Tom Hardy playing Mel Gibson's character. But you can also kind of review it as a remake. And then the third option is that you can actually kind of view it as maybe I'll leave it at those two, because there's another fan theory about who Tom Hardy's character actually is, and that he's not actually Mad Max, but he's in the world of Mad Max. So I guess those are the two I'll start with. So you could kind of view it as a remake or a direct sequel, that this being Max. I mean, just a little background. I mean, so Max, he lost his wife and child in the first movie, and then basically a slow descent into madness through 2 and 3, Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome. And then Fury Road, he's full, like, raging feral. Like, he's just basically like an animal because of his descent into
at the beginning, he's like, the only thing I believe in is like survival or whatever. Yeah. It's amazing.
Like, it's just complete descent into madness. So you can definitely view it as like a straight up sequel, but at the same time, the remake kind of vibe of it, there's enough stuff to where it's just like, you can have it anyway. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, one of the casting, I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but the actor who plays Immortan Joe. I don't know if that was anything you said you wanted to talk about it first, but.
Well, just in general, before we get into casting, I love how this conversation is going, because it's really just kind of flowing based on like, this is actually really cool and organic the way we're talking about it. But I wanted to make sure I told you about the cast and what I thought of my first take, because I didn't know about who else was in this. I knew Charlize and I knew Tom Hardy, but that's it. So as soon as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my God, fucking Zoe Kravitz. Oh my God, Riley Keough. Oh my God, here's Nicholas Hoult. And it's weird because it's 10 years after, and he's in this role, but he's so good, of course. And it's such a different role than you're used to seeing. I mean, he's kind of a chameleon, which is interesting because like it's like, you know, Renfield, then you got like the juror number 4, was it? Yeah, like Clint Eastwood's film. It's all these characters that he plays are, in my opinion, it's like this guy seems like such a schlub to me. Sorry, I mean, it's such a terrible word, but he doesn't seem like he could be this gifted, and he's super gifted, in my opinion. Just like that actor in general feels like, how could he potentially be this character in Mad Max? And again, this is early on, and I would have never known. I think I would have looked at him and his roles that he's played a little differently had I seen this movie 10 years ago. I would have been like, oh, this guy's fucking amazing no matter what. Like, but everything I've seen in him, I'm just kind of like, oh, this guy again, kind of like, oh, why is he, you know, he's cool. But like, now and forever, it'll be like, no, you were in Fury Road, you kicked fucking ass, and like, you know, you get mad respect for me. But then I just gotta say, my first ever introduction to Charlize Theron was in Celebrity, Woody Allen's Celebrity, which I'm a huge fan of that film. And I don't think I've ever seen that one. So, well, it's a Kenneth Branagh's playing the Woody Allen kind of character, like this sort of neurotic character, but he's like an agent, and it's great because it's set right after, it's right after Titanic had made Leonardo DiCaprio a star, and so then he's in the film, and it's like literally the next movie he did. It's just, they're little vignettes of like things that happen towards this Kenneth Branagh character as he's trying to get a script made. He's like in, you know, Hollywood, kind of like following people around in their chaotic lives, all these crazy actors, but like he's got the script underneath this thing that he's trying to sell. And he's in this world all of a sudden with and DiCaprio's role is amazing because he plays basically Leonardo DiCaprio post fucking Titanic, and he's like smashing up a hotel room and like, you know, fighting with his girlfriend, and there's all these like fans outside and stuff. It's really great. Not to get off on too much of a tangent about Celebrity, I just wanted to say Charlize is in it. And it's like, when I first saw her in that, I was like, whoa, who is this? You know, she's just so gorgeous, and she's just such a presence. And then to see her in Mad Max Fury Road, okay, Furiosa, right? That's her name?
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Like, she is so good. She's off her fucking ass in this. Yeah. I loved her performance, and just like that little crew that's in that car. Like Tom Hardy's always great, like, you know, like Bane, whatever. He's like so good in those roles of like the brute that doesn't really say too much, but he's got this deep voice and he just kind of fucking presence, you know. And of course, The Revenant, you know, we love Tom Hardy in that. But like, it's more her movie, isn't it?
It is. Yes, I mean the answer is yes. It is. I mean, it is. It's kind of even. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're aware, like Furiosa, the movie came out last year. That's a
yes, prequel. I'm aware, and I can't wait to see it. But yeah,
it's a prequel that George Miller made. That's basically the fifth movie in the Mad Max series. And so obviously that existing, obviously in hindsight, Mad Max Fury Road is obviously like, you know, trying to have it both ways, basically be a Mad Max movie, but the kind of the drive protagonist is a little bit more Charlize Theron. So, which I will say, a lot of people, even to now, they were just not a huge fan of that. Basically, a Mad Max movie without Mad Max kind of still seems sacrilegious to some people. But
I mean, I could say if it was like pitted against some actor that wasn't as good as her, then maybe I could understand that. But if you're just having that opinion, it's because you're just like too much of like you're on too much of the old school bandwagon of Mad Max. You just want to see a movie with like the dude who kicks everyone's fucking ass, you know, in the desert. Yeah. That's like the only thing you want to see. And if you don't get it, then you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. It is more so her film, but I mean, rewatching it for this, it is pretty even. I mean, it's like, it's still Mad Max. I mean, Mad Max is the reason why they were able to get out of everything at the end of the day. Like, I mean, they certainly would have been run down by the motorcade if it wasn't for Mad Max.
I mean, kind of all the characters kind of play that role, right? Even
sure.
Nicholas Hoult,
I'm just saying, like,
you know, has that idea of the tree, and if, you know, they didn't have that, then, you know,
yes, yeah, for sure, it's ensemble. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, it's still kind of like a hero movie with Mad Max technically saving the day. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, her in Monster was always a pretty crazy performance. And
I mean, you want to know something? I've never seen that film before. Of course, I know about it. Like the Eileen Burns, and it's like her and Christina Ricci, right?
Right. It's pretty bananas. Her performance is definitely out there. So that was like a kind of a precursor to be like, yeah, I could see her kicking ass in a Mad Max movie. So, and obviously you felt like she was pretty successful in it. So,
oh yeah, and I mean, yeah, there's like she got like half an arm missing. The fucking like, I love the idea to like shave her head like that, like just kind of, I don't know. There was just a lot going on with every actor in this film that just, everyone around her was great too. That's just not lost on me that like just everybody worked so well, and filled the roles great. I don't particularly know the actor who played the guy with like the breathing apparatus. He's so fucking good too. Like the main guy, I forget his name.
Immortan Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of going back to what I was talking about, the kind of the way you can view this film. So that's Hugh Keays-Byrne. That's who played Immortan Joe. Immortan Joe is the authoritarian in this world where he owns all the resources. He owns the water, controls everybody because he owns all the resources. So he's the main bad guy. So that's Hugh Keays-Byrne, who is the actor who played Toe Cutter, the main bad guy in the original Mad Max. It's the same actor.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't know that because, again, I'm not so familiar with him since it's been so long since I've seen him. Okay. So that's why you're saying this could exist in the world of Mad Max.
I'm just saying as a way of kind of viewing it a little bit more of a remake rather than a direct sequel. Okay. There's just different stuff in that. I'm just saying, like, the fact that he cast the same actor who played the bad guy in the original movie as Immortan Joe, the main bad guy in this movie, is just, that's just the beauty of George Miller. That's just him being a fucking awesome director, where it's like he creates a world and kind of doesn't have anything specific, but just keeps it abstract, and you can read it any way you want. It's just a fun way.
Yeah, which is, I know, your favorite way to watch a movie. It's like it doesn't need to have plot or anything. It's just like, give me the fucking, cool ass movie like this, and like, you're not so worried about the details. But let me ask this: George Miller, can we talk about him for a second as a director and obviously screenwriter, right? And obviously champion of Mad Max to keep it going. Like what is
he wrote and directed every single Mad Max movie. So anything Mad Max is 100% George Miller, in the mind of George Miller. So that's just another reason why I love the franchise so much, because it really is just one dude for like over 40 years now doing this series. So
has he done anything else?
Oh, he's done plenty. Here, I'll pull up his.
I feel like such an outsider in this conversation, but again, I think that's kind of cool because like I'm kind of learning a lot and like really interested in it, and I think it's that's a good thing for an episode because I think our audience is going to be hearing a lot too, because you seem to be like so encyclopedic about this film. You seem to know so much about it.
I mean, I get excited for certain stuff. I definitely wouldn't. And I also have my, IMDb right here, so I'm not.
But I mean, you read the frickin' book, so
But no, George Miller. I mean, so Mad Max is his biggest contribution for sure. But one-off movies. I mean, some past ones from the '80s, The Witches of Eastwick. Jack Nicholson. So that's the thing about George Miller. Also, like one of the most insanely eclectic directors ever, and you'll see as I kind of go up, because it's not a huge, so we can get through this. Lorenzo's Oil from 1992, 1998, Babe, Pig in the City, the sequel to Babe, which I don't know if you've ever seen. It's a pretty crazy movie.
No, have you? I can't believe you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen Babe, of course. Both movies are great. Babe, Pig in the City, I think notoriously one of the most favorite movies of all time, certainly of that year, by Siskel and Ebert. I think they both had it on their top 10 list in the top 5 for that year. So
I love it when there's like a title like that, Babe, Pig in the City, and you find out like it's so well received, even by like some of the most like insanely respected critics of all time. I love that shit.
Right. Yeah. He follows that up with 2 more kids movies, Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2. The CGI Penguin movies with, I think, Elijah Wood.
Wow. And
Right.
then the guy does Mad Max Fury Road.
And then the follow-up to
circle.
Happy Feet 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. So the fact that the dude who made Fury Road and all the Mad Max movies is also the dude that made Pig in the City and Happy Feet, it's just my favorite type of director, is somebody who can jump from genres.
I mean, or it's a guy who's like collecting his dollars so he can make the movie that he wants to when he makes Mad Max Fury Road.
That too. That absolutely. Him making Happy Feet in 2006 and then Happy Feet in 2011, I guarantee that's what finally made him get the Fury Road movie that he wanted to get out in 2015 for sure.
Yeah, I guess you have to play the game sometimes that way, ping pong around until you finally get it right, the right concoction to make the movie you want. And again, like when you're watching Mad Max Fury Road, this movie's put together for the fans. Like, it is so fucking visually cool and everything. It's a movie, Yeah.
And then just one more thing on his personal life. He was a medical before becoming a film director. Like, he was a full-on working medical doctor in Australia before actually kicking off his career with the original Mad Max.
Wow.
Fucking legend. I love that so much. Like, so it's just, and
I bet you he was probably influenced by another one of our favorite Australian films, Razorback.
Oh,
which, by the way, I was at a VHS swap over the weekend, and they had a VHS original of Razorback. And I started talking to the guy about it. He's like, "You've seen Razorback?" And I was like, have I seen it? I've not just seen it. I've done a podcast on it.
Hell yeah.
It was great. It was great to see that. Like, it was like the foam one, like the really thick, like bubbly one. Fucking awesome, man. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Razorback was 84. So Razorback has way more, was indebted to Mad Max as opposed to the other way around. Razorback was definitely influenced by Mad Max in that world instead of the other way around. So, but that's the thing. The original Mad Max was 1979. It's like, wow. It was just, that's the power of the first couple movies, is like, they were just so innovative and ahead of their time, like, and distinctive in their, in the filmmaking.
I want you to go down
B-movie,
whatever route you want to, but I think we need at some point to talk about like the inception of like, okay, so this movie the original was made because of this oil crisis, or at least that's a through line of why this world exists, right? Like, everybody's.
Well, I think it's more of just an abstract idea of a dystopian world, a world descending into chaos, and then the gasoline becoming one of the most valuable resources, because the only way to live is on the road. And so I don't know. It's like, I've always read it as more chaos and more abstract, in terms of like him creating a dystopian world where these resources become the most valuable thing possible. And this one is a little bit more water driven. So
I was going to say, you got to get both in this one. Obviously, the fuel is still there, but yeah, like that scene with Tom Hardy when he gets the hose and he's just like, got the gun. He's like, it's like so fucking great, man. Oh my God. I was loving it. I was loving every scene of this, like nothing was boring. Nothing was like, everything was like so like high risk, and nobody's trusting each other. And the minute you think that like you have a second to breathe, here comes like another group of like cars coming after you, and you got to get moving again,
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, for the world building, when it comes, so the first 10 minutes of the movie, you have Immortan Joe speaking down to his, citizens.
Congregation.
Of the people who he rules over. I mean, this is his quote: "I am your redeemer. It is by my hand you will rise from the ashes of this world." I mean, this is like a straight up like dictator, authoritarian person who owns all the resources. This is him leading up to actually pouring the water down, giving them that tiny taste of water, and because he owns it, and that's the way he controls these people. And I just love that scene where it's like all the people it's almost like their church. It's like that's their weekly place to go praise Immortan Joe, because he's the one who's going to give him the water. And his quote after giving the water, I love the way it's shot. It's just like he just plunges it down. Everybody's like clawing after it because that's their only taste of water for the week, probably. The music's beautiful. And his quote after that is, "Do not, my friends, become addicted to water. It'll take hold of you and you will resent its absence." I mean, just absolute beautiful, so fast and a beautifully executed way to show like an authoritarian who owns the resources, and that's how he uses it to control the people.
I mean, totally, and 100% love that myself. And I thought, wow, what a great way to like talk. It's like you automatically think of booze too,
in like,
you know?
Well, just in like 30 seconds, you understand the world that this is living in.
Yeah,
it's like there's no resources anywhere. This one dude controls all of it, and that's how he controls everybody.
Yeah, because it's like, don't be addicted to this, you know. And I
just love it. The idea of telling people don't become addicted to water. I mean,
the thing you need, it's a necessity.
Like, I mean, like I'm sure you can imagine politics where it's like politicians telling people like, yeah, you don't really need that thing. You don't need healthcare, do you? You don't become addicted to healthcare or anything like that. So
right, but it's like a basic human need, you know.
Yeah. And so, and that's the beauty of George Miller and the Mad Max movies. He's always been so, I mean, it's by far, I mean, to be clear, this is easily my favorite Mad Max movie, like by a mile. So like,
I mean, I haven't seen the other ones in a while, but I got to say, me too. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say me too.
It's almost by a mile. So, but that's the key to kind of all these movies is the world building that he's created in a dystopian world and how much it's visual. And that's kind of, maybe we could talk a little bit about that. It's just like, as I was texting you, I was like watching it as a bare bones, black and white, silent, almost silent film. And because that's his stated intention when making this movie.
I mean, there's music in there too, I guess. But it's really,
no, I just mean like the way the movie is told, the story is told through visuals rather than dialogue. Like it's intention to like have very little dialogue. I mean, this movie didn't even have a script.
Well, I should interject there. Like, as if silent movies didn't have music. That's all they had in it.
Right. Silent movie in terms of all of it. Like, and I mentioned it. Like, you had us watch Metropolis. You had us watch Haxan.
Yeah, and I totally believe what you say. Sorry, go ahead. But I was aligning with what you said about that.
I mean, and I had seen Metropolis a long time ago, and I had never seen Haxan, and I mean, I just absolutely love both of those. Silent films are just where it's at. Like, I kind of always go. I've like, you know, I'm the one who gets shit sometimes for not liking older movies, but like I've kind of like talked about that. But I really do think like silent film was like right out of the gate one of the best eras of film of all time. Like, just because
it grows as the older they get too. For some reason, it's just like, you know, it get better with age.
Yeah, I mean, because it at the time, without dialogue, it fully utilized the medium of film, which is an audio and visual medium. It's like everything should be told through what you hear and what you see, as opposed to just dialogue being written off. That's obviously one way to make a movie for sure, but like, you can make a story like that into a novel. You can make it into a stage play. The idea of a lot of silent films, the idea of Fury Road being anything other than a movie is like ridiculous because it's so perfectly utilizing the medium of film. Everything you learn about this world is through what you see and what you hear, rather than just straight up dialogue, somebody telling you it. So it's just like, that's the essence of like why it's like one of my favorite movies of all time. So,
and then again, I think it just helps that it's in black and white, you know, to get that, to, you know, kind of seal that silent film vibe to it.
Absolutely.
I gotta watch it with color now just to kind of see how I feel about the difference. But I'm so glad you asked me to watch it in black and white first, and then I liked hearing.
I mean, that was also kind of my way of just being like, he likes old black and white movies. I'm sure this will be more.
More. Well, but again, you sent me the George Miller talking about why he.
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah.
So that's the opening to the DV, to the 4K when you watch it in the black and chrome version. So it's him talking about like, I once saw a version of Road Warrior in black and white, and then that's kind of what propelled me to want to make a black and white version of Fury Road.
And that's so crazy because now I'm thinking about, I didn't really realize he was the director of all of them and writer and creator of all of them. And he's saying he watched like a version of it. Like, But like, it wasn't even his idea then to make it black and white. He was just like, I happened to see a black and white version.
I think he said like while they were editing it, like there was a black and white version while the composer was doing the score or something. And that instilled in him like, oh, this is black and white just so fits the world of Mad Max that he's creating, because it's just abstract and down to the bare bones essence, which is what the Mad Max character becomes.
Has there been theatrical releases of it in black and white to your knowledge, or?
This one, yeah, I saw the black and chrome in theater. Cool. I don't remember if it was pretty close to the original release date in 2015, but I mean, in the past 10 years, I've seen it multiple times in the theater for like re-releases, and I'm pretty sure it was at the Music Box for the black and white version, maybe like in 2017 or 18, I'm thinking. So
I think they did around there, -1 at the Music Box too. They, obviously, give the fans what they want.
Right. And so, yeah, I definitely have seen the black and white in theater. And I mean, again, I love both versions for sure. I just, as I've said, I'm a sucker for, genre movies in black and white. So right. I often point to this Fury Road and Stephen King's The Mist in black and white. It's one of the best ones that was originally released in color that you should be watching in black and white for sure. So
I'm going to have to flip it to black and white when I see The Mist next time. I love that film.
It's so good. All right. Yeah. Like I said, originally conceived in the 90s. So Mel Gibson was originally going to be it. Mad Max, obviously. And the original Furiosa at the time was going to be cast. A little actor called Sigourney Weaver. So imagine what that movie would have been like if it actually got off the ground. So
what happened with Mel Gibson not being in the film?
Well, I mean, the book will definitely, it's been years since I read it, but like tons of setbacks basically between how technically impossible the movie was. Because as you mentioned, like very little CGI, like all the stunts in this movie are practical effects. Like it's all like action. That is
wild, dude.
Yeah. Action stuntmen actually doing the stunts. Like imagine that scene in
I mean, everybody is flying all over the sky. Like, what the fuck? I can't believe that's true.
I always think of that scene in why am I forgetting the name? You just saw it, Grindhouse. Stuntman.
Oh yeah, with the motorcycle through the air or whatever.
Well, I just mean that scene when they're in the bar talking about old stuntmen and
right,
and just how that's an antiquated thing to do anymore. He's like, well, how do you think they did all these things? And one of them is like CGI. And so that was like 2007. And then this movie comes along and actually pulls it back to the 70s style of actually doing all the stunts with insane stuntmen in the Australian outback. So
yeah, that is such a great scene. It's stuntman Mike talking to the girls, and they're all kind of like,
Death Proof.
He's like, do you know any of these people that I'm talking about? That's so
He's just the old guy doing it. So, I mean, just the fact that it was a very complicated movie to make, how movies are anyway, he gets other opportunities. And then Mel Gibson and, all his shit in the public eye was happening kind of like around that time. And so I think it was like around 2006 or 7 is when they were like, all right, it's not going to be Mel Gibson anymore. And that just added like another 10 years of development. So,
wow. Yeah. Cause nobody would have seen the film, at that time. He was really not doing well in the public eye, I guess,
Sure. I mean, that's the timeline in him was kind of all over the place. I mean, he was still making movies. He's still making movies the whole time through that time, just not this movie, I guess. I don't know.
Well, or just like not. I mean, I would say like the last thing I remember seeing Mel Gibson in that I was like really like, I mean, I love him in Signs, which we covered on this podcast. It's one of my favorite movies. But I can't remember seeing him in too much after that. And that might have been because of all the drama. I mean, there was like the anti-Semitic stuff. And then there was like the kind of like verbally abusive to his wife stuff that was all like kind of in succession. And during that time, I can imagine the studios were like, we can't make a movie with Mel Gibson, like. But no comment on that?
Did you ever see the Beaver?
Oh, yeah, but that's with Jodie Foster, right?
Right. I think she directed it.
But I think that happened like in right as this thing happened. I think it was already done, and it came out like the stuff about him and it was with his wife, and it was like a fucking bomb because of it. But yeah, he doesn't have a beaver hand puppet or something.
I mean, I saw it in theaters, so
of course you did. Of course you saw the Beaver in theater. You may be the only person in the world that saw the Beaver in theaters.
Well, I was like, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Mel Gibson is playing a guy who's having a mental breakdown who ends up coping with it by talking about it through the Beaver that he's holding. It just sounded too insane not to go see. So,
well, maybe we got to cover that because that sounds actually, in retrospect, fucking awesome.
Oh God. I mean, here's the thing. I've mentioned this before. I so don't care about celebrity gossip or the lives of actors. I mean, it's like people are lunatics. It's just, and it's funny, like his recordings, like I've definitely laughed at them for sure. I just like any.
So you're aware though that these do exist.
100%. No. Yeah. I'm not ignoring any of it. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like when all that happened went down, I was like, I don't remember. I just remember his movie. He was still making movies. I mean, when was Apocalypto? That was before.
Okay, so then there's also the Passion of the Christ, right? But that had to have been.
Well, that was way before.
That had to be way before. Yeah. But Apocalypto, I think, was his like next big directorial debut after that, wasn't it?
That was one of his follow-ups for sure. And then, I mean, we covered a more recent
Drag Me Across Concrete.
A more recent one from him.
Which is terrific, by the way.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just looking at his filmography right now.
I'll just say while you're looking at that.
Hacksaw Ridge is another one that I love. He directed that one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I like that one a lot, actually.
What year was Hacksaw Ridge?
That looks like it was 2000. Oh, no. Wait, which one is that? 2016?
Okay. So, I mean, dude, like he's doing that after this film came out, like the next year.
Yeah, it looks like it almost coincided with this. So
I think that was up for like an Academy Award. That must have been like
for Best Picture.
That must have been the turnaround for Mel Gibson.
Nominated for Best Picture. Yeah. I mean, in a lot of people's eyes, there is no turnaround. The people still won't watch his movies.
Trump named him one of the ambassadors to Hollywood. So
we've got him. It's so stupid.
But my favorite thing about you is that like you do say this. Like I don't, you're like, to me, people's personal lives are interesting. As far, because I don't love
so bored gossip. By people's personal lives.
Well, I don't like the gossip, but I'm aware of what's happening more so in celebrity life than I am in politics. I can kind of give a shit about that. But for me, like it's kind of like TMZ is my. I've said it a million times on this podcast,
and I still can't figure it out every time you do one. Unless it has turned into something completely different, but it seems like it's still kind of like that. But I mean, I'm all for it. Like if you enjoy it, for sure. Celebrity lives. There's nothing more boring than that.
But I can set it aside too. I think that's the thing. Is like you're kind of like. I think whenever we talk about it, and I kind of tell you about something that's like controversial about some actor or something, you like. Either don't know or you do know and don't care at all. and I'm just saying for me.
I hope I don't come across as an asshole.
No, and who cares if you do? Fuck it. But to me, in my opinion, like I just want to know. Like I like hearing this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily affect my like of a character or whatever, just because a person in their personal life has some kind of drama or something like that. So I can separate it,
but also it's not even just controversial stuff. It's like people, celebrity lives of people who are awesome. Like, I don't know, Keanu Reeves. Like Keanu Reeves seems like the coolest dude in the world, but it's like at the same time, I still don't care what his personal life is.
I talked about this before. Like, when that Johnny Depp trial happened, I was like, glued to that shit. Okay. Cause I love fucking Johnny Depp. Okay. But I don't know what happened there. I think they're both maybe at fault a little bit for maybe, you know, somehow, but you know, that's not really for the public to know, but that was very, very public. I mean, the fucking trial was very public. But what I learned mostly from that trial is that, I mean, I would paint and it was beyond the background. I wasn't just like watching this thing like for entertainment. Okay. I was actually working, but I was listening to it. And yeah, right. And then they go and talk about, like, they had some like serious person on the stand. It was like talking about like approval ratings on the internet for celebrities. And that's the moment that I realized that shit does matter. Like, if somebody out there is like an influencer and the people love them and they can't act, they'll put that motherfucker in the movie because it's going to get people to come to the theater to watch that person. And if Johnny Depp is tanking online and people are talking shit about them, there's people scouring the internet looking at that. And then studios say, what's the report on Johnny Depp? And they're like, well, everyone thinks he's a wife beater. And they're like, he's not in the next movie, you know? And that's why I'm saying, like, it's this shit matters. Like, it matters to like business out here, you know? But like, okay, Keanu Reeves, if someone was to look at that, regardless, we don't know really anything, do we? You know, people have their own personal lives. But in the court of public opinion about the guy, he can do no wrong. Well, everybody loves him. You know what I mean? And like, so he could be in any movie and everyone's going to go watch that film because Keanu Reeves is the hero of the world, you know? I'm just saying it's kind of a weird way to gauge, because nobody really knows Keanu Reeves. Nobody really knows Johnny Depp, you know?
Yeah, but I almost feel like you're proving my point of why you shouldn't care, because since so many people do care, then that becomes more important than everything else.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. You know that I'm not disagreeing.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, we are borderline sick country in our obsession with celebrity.
Oh, no, we can definitely agree about that.
Okay, yeah. For sure. So I guess, that's really all I'm kind of pointing out. So, yeah, influencers, I think I have heard talked about, like, casting. One of the biggest things in casting now is what's your influence on social media. So
yeah,
which is just like one of multiple reasons where I'm like, I don't even think I like movies anymore. So it's like,
you're not getting cast in shit. I'll tell you that much right now.
Me?
Anybody who has like no social presence.
Oh, I see what you're
cast in anything, and you have no social presence at all. So, you know, not like anybody's going to come knocking down your door to play Babe Pig in the City 3.
YouTube is absolutely a form of social media. So us
I guess
showing up there every other week talking about kick-ass movies, it's a pretty prominent form of social media for sure.
I guess you're right. I never think about it that way. It's like, what is your favorite 100%. Social media? You know, it's like, is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Well, both of those you're not active on at all. But I guess I guess I could slam the door in my face right here because you are on a podcast that is very public on YouTube. So, okay. Right, my friend. Touche.
I'm just milking this train right in your tail. So
yeah.
Anyway, that was our rant on celebrity culture in America. So
yeah, well, listen, if there is going to be another Mad Max film in the future, it is possible, I'd imagine, that they could do a Logan, you know, where they take and say, hey, let's get Mel Gibson back here and talk about like a later version of Mad Max.
That's what a lot of people would like to see. It would never happen. I think so. I actually just read something. There are still talks. George Miller does want to make a 6th one with Tom Hardy, and he just commented that it's still like an active talks. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I don't know anything. Don't yell at me out there, internet. But Furiosa, like Tom Hardy in that?
No, that was purely a prequel about Furiosa. It was
that's interesting. From what I was saying,
a Mad Max story. I think is what they call it. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So it's like it's not. It's canonical for sure. But it is its own separate thing.
Well, that's what I mean, because it seemed like in that, and from my first watch anyway, that the movie was more about her than it was about Mad Max. But so they're kind of interesting that they would do a whole backstory on her, because they obviously get into it, like the green place or whatever in this film. Like what was that? What did that look like? And because I saw it in black white, I don't know if any of those flashbacks had any green or anything like that, or if it was all desolate looking.
Flashbacks in Fury Road.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have it playing on my side screen right here. So
that's why the movie.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
No, they're not really. I mean, which flashbacks? I don't think there's really any.
Well, there are with Tom Hardy more so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, the opening stuff when he's seeing the little girl and the people that he couldn't save. That's what you're kind of referring to. I love the way that's all shot.
Oh, and that's incredible.
And that's another
so well.
Yeah, that's another thing where you can kind of read it different ways, because like he never had a little girl. At least in the first 3 movies, he never had a little girl that age. He lost his baby. He lost his child when he was just a baby, and his wife. And then there was the black guy that he keeps on seeing in his flashbacks. And so it's just it gives it in a way where it's like, Mad Max. Max lost his wife and child and has done other stuff and had other interactions, but like these are the people that are haunting him now. So it's like, it's just, again, all into that abstract kind of way where you can read it as a sequel, as a remake, as maybe almost another vibe of Mad Max. Because one theory that I teased before, there is a theory that Tom Hardy is not Mad Max at all. He's the feral kid from The Road Warrior. I don't know if you remember the little kid in Road Warrior, or if you saw that a long time ago. He was named the Feral Kid. Pretty prominent part of the movie. It's like he's in all of it, and he's in the last scene. Helps Mad Max actually kind of beat the motorcade. He's got long hair, doesn't speak English at all. He's just a feral kid. And at one point in Road Warrior, Max gives him this little music box that he's playing, and he hands it to the feral kid. And there's a scene in Fury Road when I think it's Zoe Kravitz, has the music box that's playing, implying that maybe Max gave that to her, and that he was the feral kid from Road Warrior. And then it's just kind of representing the vibe of Mad Max, the aesthetic of Mad Max. And I
love that.
Yeah. So again, this is George Miller just having fun with it. He's just totally. You could read this any way you want.
It's kind of like, what does that mean?
Right.
In Fury Road.
That music box is 100%. It may not be the music box, but it's just a straight callback to the music box that Max gave the feral kid in Road Warrior. So too good.
Also, can we just talk quickly about this film also plays on those themes of, like you said, dystopian and everything, but like it's all about these fucking wives of this old man who's like the leader and whatever, that he's trying to get back and like ownership of them. And it's so crazy, the scene with like when she's dying, he's like, cut out the kid and everything. I mean, this movie's straight up, that's the motivation, to get these women back, and that's why they're on the road.
And so that's all the world building. So I got a whole list of stuff that just the essence of the film. It's like everything you just said. It's like none of that's spelled out for the audience. It's just what you see as the story, as the chase, the movie, the film length chase unfolds. And his brides. I mean, so a healthy, like viable male baby is like the most valuable thing to have when he's creating his army. It's like, and that's why he has his wives locked up. That's why he has multiple wives. They exist like purely to give him like a healthy, viable male
heir.
Yeah. And so that's why, I mean, that's like, as you said, the impetus for the entire movie. It's like, that just shows like how much this world is just distraught from like health, and it can get into the war boys. So Nux, as you mentioned, Nicholas Hoult, it's kind of one of the best characters in the movie, largely because he's the only character who has an arc, who actually is different from the start of the film to the end of the film. Everybody else is the exact same from start to finish. And that's not a critique of the movie at all. That's just like the place in the world.
I mean, most films do have characters that have a change in them.
Yeah. But that's just kind of this distillation of this movie. It's where it's just a glimpse of this world. But Nux actually is a war boy. And maybe I'll ask you, what did you think of the war boys in general and like what they represent or kind of the vibe of the world that they inhabit?
Yeah, I definitely thought, they're obviously oppressed. I mean, there's those things that they have on their neck, and it sounds something like at some point Nux says like, if that wasn't going to get me, it was like the night terrors or something like that. So it's like they're in
Larry
fear.
and Barry.
What? I'm sorry. What is it?
Larry and Barry.
Larry and Barry. Yeah, and it's like attacking what, his like vocal cords or something.
Well, it's like they're tumors. I mean, so they're all half-lives. They're all, and that's what they call them in the movie. They're all terminal cases. They're all men who are going to die because of the world they live in, where like half the people are born with terminal illnesses. And so because of those terminal illnesses, that's why they're susceptible to being led by the forced religion of Immortan Joe, leading them to Valhalla in the afterlife. That's basically their redemption.
Yeah, and he's obviously so obsessed with Valhalla, and
that's all. I mean, they're suicide bombers. This is
right. Witness me.
Yeah, religion has become their only salvation, and people, desperate people turn to religion. Not knocking religion, but it does happen, and so them being terminal cases, he's going to die. Their only salvation in life is to serve Immortan Joe, because he's the one who's going to get them into Valhalla, into the afterlife, into the beautiful world that the afterlife is going to have. Thus, that's why they're all suicide bombers doing his bidding and becoming the army to conserve the resources for him.
It's crazy because, I was just actually listening to some Bad Religion as I was walking around today, and I think that's probably what I'm going to. I don't think we have any Bad Religion on our playlist, so I think that's what I'm going to offer later on. But nice. There's like a record, dude. I don't know if you're a Bad Religion fan, but it's so up your alley. And there's a record called "The Empire Strikes First" that came after a 2001 record called "The Process of Belief." But that record is 2004, I want to say. And it's all about there's like a song called "Let Them Eat War." And it's basically like, that's how you ration the poor. Let them eat war. There's an urgent need to feed. All these amazing lyrics about like how you can just like take advantage of people who are hungry and people who need.
Desperate.
They're desperate, and you can turn them into soldiers. You can get them to do whatever you want. And you'd love this record.
That has to be the song that you do then for sure.
100%.
That sums up the War Boys and Nux to a
Well,
T.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. As you're talking about this, it's kind of like, because I didn't know that they were terminal, I guess, as the first watch. But
that's what they call them. That's the beauty of it. They call them half-lives. So that's in their dystopian world, like a postmodern civilization. Like, I love all the names, but like half-life, it's basically their understanding of a person he's going to prematurely die because of sickness. And then, so that's why, and that's also Mad Max being the universal donor and him being the blood bag for Nux. Hooking him up.
Yeah, they keep on calling him the universal donor and blood bag, and I was kind of like, they're going to harvest his organs. What the fuck does that mean? Is that can you explain that? I'm sorry.
Well, so like I said, like all the War Boys and the Half-Lives, they're terminal cases, but they're still the army. So they're going to utilize healthy people like Max, who's the universal donor, for his blood to keep Nux alive. So that's why he's sitting there before the chase starts. He's just sitting there with Max turned upside down and the blood's flowing into Nux. That's basically how he sustains his life, even though it's still terminal, using healthy people to do it. And then he hooks them up on the car, still hooked to him. So that's what, again, it's all this stuff. It unfolds the world in a visual way. It's like, you're like, well, this world where half the people are sick, and then the healthy people are harvested to keep those army sickos alive so they can keep on fighting for the resources. So,
I mean, we'll get there at the end, but I'm kind of wondering like how you feel this gets summed up.
Which part? The whole movie?
Well, they're clearly going back.
Oh, so you mean wrapped up in like the movie itself?
Yeah, because I love the ending, first of all, but I'm just kind of wondering, it leaves it open ended. It's like they're glad the dictator is dead, right? But like, you see Max is clearly like
He's like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, but you know, that makes sense for the hero.
Right.
You know, kind of go on your own and you know, leaves the audience to wonder what happens to him. But he's of course got other things to do, and he really only cares about himself. I mean, he doesn't really only care about himself, but he's just like, he's got to be on his own. He's got to be a solitary man, you know?
I mean, he's evolved into that's the beauty of it. Like, you start the movie, he's de-evolved into an animal, and then his only salvation to keep the voices quiet is to help somebody, is to actually protect somebody, because he couldn't. He devolved and went crazy because he couldn't protect his loved ones. And the only way to quiet the voices in his head is to protect somebody else.
Yeah. So when they get to that end and you see like them, like Furiosa is like raising up and then she looks in the crowd. That's such a great scene, dude. And that's that whole stuff over there at, I forget what they call that place. That's the like metropolis, like
the Citadel.
So much. The Citadel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels so that, because of course that's where like everybody is like worshiping like the, Immortan Joe. And that feels so metropolis. It's like, and that just like reminds you, like Metropolis is over 100 years old now, right? It's like way ahead of its time, but yet still so fucking relevant. Why world? You know, like, why can't we evolve? Jesus.
Oh, way ahead of its time. Oh, I'm so happy you had us watch that, because that was a fucking beautiful one to watch. So.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, I think we covered that in like 2022, so it's a ways back. But you can go back and listen to our episode on Metropolis, which we both love, of course. Fritz Lang, top tier. And this movie is very reminiscent of that.
Maybe sticking on Nux a little bit. I live, I die, I live again, which is basically the calling card of a suicide bomber and somebody who believes in death in the afterlife and the glory that's killing others will bring you.
The Witness Me stuff was so like amazing, because you know he's got this like relationship with Riley that's kind of forming, and he realized like, that's the thing.
So Nux being the only one with a character arc, you know, he starts as a suicide bomber, actually ends up kind of doing the same thing, but just for the, you know, a better cause, the
good side. Yeah.
I guess saying it out loud, it almost sounded too simple, but it is true. Like, he learns, he basically learns, like, you know, there's no fucking Valhalla, you know,
or he just is like,
you're not gonna find the glory road. So
I can pull out of this dictatorship. Like, I can be strong. I can be strong now. And maybe that's like also a thing about it. Like with love, you that can sometimes pull you out of like bad situations, which is kind of cool. You at some point when you're watching the movie, you want Mad Max and Charlize to get together, but that never happens, you know. And I'm glad it doesn't happen. But like when you're watching, you're like, man, this would be awesome if at some point they fucking get together. But they never do.
Yeah. I guess I've never really felt that while watching it.
I mean, you don't really feel it. I don't feel like any connection to them, like in that romantic way. But as like a guy who's watching it, who loves both characters, I'm like, I'd love if these two got together. Like, that's just purely me as like but it doesn't. But I'm also a fan of movies and realize that like that wouldn't make any sense to this movie. It wouldn't. It would degrade the film if they did. So I understand that too. You know.
Yeah, for sure, definitely would. I'm just reminded of. You already brought it up earlier, but and I could talk about RoboCop all day, but an early iteration of RoboCop. They had a romantic relationship, him and Nancy Allen, and it ended up being taken out because it would totally sidetrack the movie. So the fact that they are just complete partners with no romantic involvement at all makes it classic, whereas it would have felt lame and cheap if it was kind of shoehorned into that. So
Verhoeven, do we need to talk about me seeing Showgirls the other day? They just announced the 30th anniversary.
Look at you, man.
The 30th anniversary screening of Showgirls in June at the Cemetery screening.
Yeah, we got the fives, 95 and 2015. Got all the anniversary stuff. Wait, where was it? Where is it that it's shown?
It's Hollywood Forever Cemetery, dude.
in the cemetery. They're showing.
Oh yeah. And I just watched it, by the way, shit movie. Like the cult classicness of it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you did
it's
like
more
it
like
when you
people
watched
being like, it was such a shitty, like it was not well received when it came out.
No, it was horribly received.
Yeah.
And but I think people like it as a good bad movie now though. So
yes, because they like watching it because they remember like how fun it was to trash the movie. And now it's like, well, now we can root for it. It's like the movie fucking terrible, dude. I couldn't believe it. It was on the Criterion collection, but again, I'm glad I watched it. We got a lot to talk about afterwards. So I don't want to get off Fury Road because this is a great talk.
We'll definitely get to that. Last thing, the spray paint before they kill themselves.
Oh, the silver spray paint.
Yeah, the shiny and chrome spray. That's basically them preparing themselves for the glory of the afterlife before they kill themselves. So that's why, like, I just love that's the beauty of George Miller, man. He's just so fucking great. Just these little touches. Like, this is how he creates characters and gives characters so much more depth in just what you see. Like I said, it's like none of this is explained. It's just like, this is the thing they do before they kill themselves. And that's them putting on a tuxedo before they get into the beauty of heaven for killing somebody. And it's just,
it is awesome. Cause like that's the thing with Nux is that he gets it done by Immortan Joe. And
I know. And I love
the greatest thing.
Nicholas Holt's face when he does it. He's just like, it's like, oh
yeah,
I'm going to heaven firsthand. And then he trips. And my favorite line, mediocre.
Mediocre.
It's just like, that's like the world. If you got to bust somebody's balls for being a douchebag, you're just like, you're fucking mediocre.
On this film in general, I wanted to say too, like, it's pretty funny at times. There is some humor in it,
Oh, for sure.
I'm not saying that particular line was, but I remember watching it, kind of chuckling at a couple lines.
Well, there's absolutely the funniest / best, most kick-ass. I don't know how many more adjectives I can use, but one thing we haven't mentioned is the Doof Warrior, the guitar player who rides.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Why did it take us this long to talk about that, dude?
I was waiting for you to bring it up and being like, I need to play with this guy at some point. So,
dude, let me tell you something right now. The fact that they wrote that into the movie, brilliant. It's so good. Like, and it is so funny. Like, but at the same time, it's not really supposed to be, I don't think, because like, but it works. It's like perfect, and he's like this goofy, like gangly guy who's just like, and it's funny, like you see them all chilling there and they're like waiting, kind of what do we do next? And then they see the war rig go by. And then like everybody's like, okay, they know we're unguarded at the, Citadel. We got to go. And all of a sudden you see the gangly guy get up and just start rocking right away. He just starts jamming. And it's like, this is sole job is just like to fucking wail guitar like the whole time.
And again, the theatrics of it. I mean, you got the flames coming out.
Oh man.
I could absolutely see you busting out one of those guitars, but it's the world building. So that, there's just so much about the Doof Warrior that explains the world they live in, and specifically the warlord of Immortan Joe and his army. It's like, this is their entertainment. Like chasing down,
like diabolical,
chasing down and killing people for resources. That's their form of entertainment. That's all they have to celebrate. So of course they're going to have a fucking guitarist jamming metal music while they're doing it. Like, you're right. Objectively, it makes no sense. Why would they ever do that? But when you think about it, it's like, you're in a dystopian world and these guys are trying to rule the world. Of course, they're going to try to have fun with it. So yeah, they better have a guitarist with flames coming out and playing metal music while they're chasing down the resources. So,
oh man, yeah. So I'm glad you brought.
But I mean, that is like a culminate. Like I could still remember the vibe of seeing, like for myself at least, for the first time seeing this in the theater. Because that is like a cementing scene for this movie. It's like when the camera is first panning out on the motorcade, when they first go up, the guys are playing the drums, and then it comes around to the Doof Warrior, plays the guitar, flames come out. I mean, I still remember so many people's reaction were like, that is the moment where I was just like, this is the most insane, great movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, so just by seeing that, dude, also like a wall of like fucking speakers behind him, you know?
I know, it looks like the Back to the Future setup at the beginning.
Totally. So. Yeah. Like probably use that as like the visual cue. Like, let's make sure we just like do the Marty McFly.
Man. Yeah, I've been excited to talk about this one for a long time, so it's been good to get all this out. I love the Furiosa scene when she realizes that the green place is gone. The violin, when she's slowly realizing it, like that's straight out of like a silent film. Like
totally no vocal when she's yelling. Yeah,
looks beautiful.
Great move there.
I'm gonna put one of the songs on there, but the score is by Junkie XL. One of my favorite scores in an action movie of all time. So
yeah,
love it. I think I mentioned it. Like, there's no script. Like, this was a movie. All the actors had to work on were like storyboards. It's like on set, like very few lines to be given. There were some for some actors, but like storyboards were given out, not a script. So again, that just kind of goes into the black and white silent film vibe that he was going for. Just looking over my notes, seeing if there was anything other to talk about. Nominated for 10 Oscars, including Best Picture.
Wow.
And I was thinking about it. So this was the last time. So The Substance got nominated for Best Picture. And before that, the last time I was like that excited for like an underdog movie to be nominated was this one. I still remember watching this being like, I know it's not going to win, but like, this is my favorite thing in the world that this movie got nominated for Best Picture. So yeah, being like an unconventional one pick for Best Picture, because Best Picture, you know, not always exactly where it's at, but so to get ones like this in it is always awesome.
Or the one that's remembered, you know, like this movie's so fucking good.
I know you're watching The King's Speech, right? Best Picture winner, The King's Speech.
I never saw it. I'm sure it's good, but you know,
it's a timeless classic that everybody loves still all the time. They always pop it in their 4K. So
right.
Yeah. I don't know. Any last thoughts on the?
Well, like I said at the end, do you think like what's your thought of like what happens next? Maybe it's not up to us to debate that, but sometimes I just think it's kind of fun because it ends like, okay, what do they do now? Are they going to go and plant trees because they got water there, and you know they're going to get back to normal? Yeah. Assuming
what would the logical? I mean, watching the movie, I never actually think past it. Just gonna be honest.
I guess not, but like, you know,
the way I watch it, but as a thought experiment, yeah, that might be pretty hard to figure out who's going to do what, because you got the war boys who are still there, and the water's just pouring down now. Yeah,
it's like,
I don't know. I mean, it seems like
almost could be like you think there could be chaos now because it's like there is no dictator.
That is kind of the pessimistic / part realistic viewpoint of it. Is like, well, nobody's going to give him instructions on how to divvy up resources
unless she does, you know. Right. Unless that's going to be the movie they make next, where it's like,
so Furiosa is going to be the leader. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the kind of way that it's shot, it's like from the ground and you see her rising up, you know, which is awesome. But maybe that like makes you think like this could be the next leader. And then what does that look like? You know,
the way you just described that almost sounds sinister. Yeah. I'm not saying you presented it like that, but now I'm like, yeah, it is kind of shot where her like, I'm going to lord over you people now. So
I mean, that's why I'm saying like, you know, we don't know, and that's the point. You know, it's kind of like let the audience do whatever they want. But sometimes it's fun to riff on it. Like, what do you think would happen?
Charlize and the wives are going to take refuge on all the men that they don't like. So you know, it's going to be
maybe.
Good boy. Trouble.
Anything else you want to add to the end of this conversation about this kick-ass movie that, like, you know, now has entered my world? Dude, if I showed you my text messages with me and my girlfriend last night, she's probably so annoyed. I'm like, Charlize is off her fucking ass, and I'm like sending her videos of like what's happening, and like I never do that with her, you know. But I was like, I couldn't believe like how much I liked it. I was just like in heaven last night watching it.
Love to hear it. I mean, yeah, it's a top 3 action was a movie for me. Unsurprisingly, a couple James Cameron movies are at the top. Aliens and Terminator 2 will pretty much always be my top two.
What's the clock at for
this might be number 2 over Aliens, but T2 will always be my number 1, but this one is either number 2 or 3. So for favorite action movie of all time, we are at 232 days until Avatar 3. Just FYI, I know you're worried about how. Well,
that's my question.
Yeah. So
okay, you ready? Ready for this first text message that I sent Marianne last night? 10:05. She sent me something, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll look at that after I watch Mad Max Fury Road." And then, like, literally, like 10 minutes later, I was like, "I will just say that this movie kicks fucking ass, and I'm ashamed of myself for waiting so long to see it. It's in Pat's top 5 of all time, I think." And I was just at the Vista and I fucked up. Charlize is insane. Fucking stacked cast too. And then I said, yeah, I have to tell you that I hate myself for not seeing this. So that's real time, dude. Real talk, you know?
Hell yeah. I mean, I love the cadence of that. I feel like we should maybe just turn the podcast into reading off our text messages to each other and other people and how much we love fucking movies. So
yeah, totally. I mean, that's the best thing. Isn't that the best thing in the world, is like to talk to somebody about a movie when you jive the right way with somebody about the movies? I don't know if there's any I don't know if there's better conversation that can happen, other than like be like, okay, you've seen this movie, I've seen this movie, and whether you like it or you don't like it, but you can talk to somebody like the way that we do on this podcast. Dude, that's the gold mine. That's the goodness of life.
I got some crazy text messages I can share about Halloween Ends and how Corey is a worthy successor to Michael Myers. So
is that from me?
I don't know. I'm just thinking.
I don't think I said that. I like.
No. That was from me. That was from me. Whether I sent it to you or just maybe never sent it to anybody, but
I don't know.
That's just me riffing off of random thoughts, because that's certainly one that I don't have cohesive thoughts on, but just ideas on.
I don't think that's a very popular opinion, though. I'll just tell you that
it is aging much better than any other movie, though. So for sure. So
David Gordon Green, though, I mean, that guy. I think he did a great job with those 3,
and I think Halloween Ends actually might be pulling in the front out of the 3 for me. So
we're gonna have to revisit the ranked Halloween movies this Halloween.
Dude, yeah. I just rewatched a whole bunch of them. My ranking changes every single time I watch those movies.
Wow.
So,
yeah. I
like not drastically. I was texting you about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and this is absolutely not how I actually feel, but the fact that I entertained the idea that I would put it at number 1 over the original just kind of blew my mind. Like, I don't actually feel
I'm
like
not saying no. Like, I love the Rob Zombie versions, and it's so fucked up when I hear people say that they don't. Like, I can't even believe it. It's like, I'm like, where are you? Are you on planet Earth? Like, did you see the same movie that I saw? Like, those movies are great. I'm sorry.
But yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is an absolute work of art. And just like I said, the original has always been one of my favorite movies of all time. And the idea that I even entertained putting it above the first one, just even for a night, was kind of crazy to me. So but we're definitely going to watch.
But you slept well that night.
I did sleep very well. It was great. We're definitely going to watch the Zombie Halloweens this year. And we might have to do like a quick re-ranking. So
yeah.
Okay. But let's wrap up Mad Max Fury Road. One of my favorites of all time. Sounds like you enjoyed it, which I'm delighted to hear. So like I said, this is kind of my favorite structure for an episode, where one of us has seen it, one of us loves it, and one of us hasn't seen it, and kind of bounce off each other. Because
it doesn't always happen that way too, because you've got like also that little caveat that this is one of your favorite movies like ever. So
yeah, but at the same time, I feel like all the movies that we share are certainly way up there for us. Every movie you're sharing is like a movie that you would watch over most other movies.
I mean, that's kind of why sometimes if I don't have a pick, it's like I don't want to pick something that I don't really know how to talk about, like from my perspective. And that's why I think on this podcast, it's good that, we do have like strong opinions about the film we're sharing with each other,
Fuck yeah. All right, MX for your road. If you haven't seen it, good one to check out.
Yeah, you got to check it out. If you heard me at all during this episode, I think you can tell that I liked it. Okay, yeah, let's pop into like a few things that's been going on. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just, dude, I don't even know what day it is. I'm so busy, per usual. But I've gone to a few of those Emmy events that are happening still. We went to one for Apple for this one called Dope Fiend. It's a show on Apple called Dope Fiend. But the cool thing about that is that was at the LA Athletic place here in Hollywood, and it's like a really old building. And so Apple bought it, of course, and they have like setups for all the shows that Apple have, and then they had like that Your Friends and Neighbors like little room where you go in, and like John Hamm like lookalike is like in there like thieving and stuff, and it was cool. These things are like fun because there's like always food and drinks and stuff like that, and I kind of sometimes like getting dragged out of the house because I don't leave here if I don't go to these things. But also Cinespia had started to release their movies for the year, like I just mentioned. So Showgirls is in June, but also in June, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I just got tickets to at the fucking cemetery. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But before then.
Wait, the sequel, right?
What? No, the Cliff Booth ones that are coming out. Yeah, I was like, holy shit. No, but that's maybe why they're doing that, because there's just so much hubbub about that. I don't know what to think about that, but I'm sure we'll cover that.
With you. Yeah. No, that's an epic one to watch there. So that's amazing.
Totally. Yeah. But like also, just so you know, David Lynch was recently, as of a couple weeks ago, interred there. So now you can go visit David Lynch there, and they are playing Blue Velvet in a couple weeks, and I got my tickets. I'm going to see that, and that's going to be like their like David Lynch tribute night, where
he looks like Immortan Joe when he's got the thing up to his face.
Yeah, totally. But by the way, Blue Velvet, if you haven't seen it in a while, I mean, talk about off your ass acting. Get the fuck out of here, Dennis Hopper. Get the fuck right out of here. Such a fan of Dennis Hopper. He's such a he's like that guy's an artist. Miss him every day. What else have I been doing? Oh, I got this like crazy, as you've seen online, logo thing, which has turned into like just like this crazy.
Oh, those Felice,
it's just it's awesome. It's turned into this crazy competition where like I just feel like it's gotten out of hand. Like there's people that it's just like more of like I would love to win and have my thing there, but like it's become like sort of like a popularity contest in there, and I'm kind of like that's not what I signed up for. It's like if people like don't like my design for any reason, like that totally makes sense and stuff like that. But like when you got to like dig through like your friends list and like can you please vote for me? And it's like supposed to be for the neighborhood, but there's people that are voting for you that aren't even and on all sides of things. Like, it's kind of like they don't even know the neighborhood. It's kind of like, I don't know. That's kind of like, it just feels a little inauthentic, like if somebody like votes for you and they don't know anything about the neighborhood, it's like, should that be the one that they pick? Should that be the representative of your neighborhood? So I kind of just like threw my hands up at some time because I was like, this is like a lot of work to like advertise it and stuff like that. I just want to like do my daily, like I got a paintings backlogged, and I'm finding myself like on the internet, like being like, please vote for me. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, I got work to do here. So anyway, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of work to try to like hustle around and tell people to vote for you for things. And so I hope I win. If I don't, I think I'm still a winner, Pat, anyway. I think I'm, I think I'm still a winner. And so coming up here, May 5th, just so you know, is 4 years of me moving to Los Angeles.
Holy shit.
And that means it's 4 years of me surviving as an artist without a boss, making money on my own through thick and thin, and doing this podcast with you. And I'll tell you what, that's why I feel like a winner, my man, because That's fucking awesome. That's the dream. That's what I wanted to do my whole life. I just wanted to be in charge of it. And I feel like I am, for the most part.
You have definitely been chewing bubblegum and kicking ass for the last 4 years.
Yep.
And I just want to say, yeah, you earned it and you deserve it and you're doing fucking great.
Thanks, man. No, it means a lot coming from you. And I mean, I don't think about that stuff until like the anniversary comes. I'm like, whoa, 4 years went by.
Because you're busy living it, and whether or not, yeah.
Well, right, yeah, and that's the point, right?
Great.
Yeah, you're supposed to have fun. Like when you and I talk about this stuff, I'm not thinking about like fucked up shit. Usually fucked up shit does happen to me. By the way, right before we get into this, like. Call. And I joke about it with Marianne afterwards. I'm like, can you believe it's always when I get right in with Pat, like something comes in. Today I got like a reshoot for some photos that I took of like a product thing. Literally minutes before I get into this thing. And I was like, well, shutting this fucking thing off, and then like me and you are dedicated to this movie and it makes me forget about all that bullshit. And then when we're done, I'm like, I gotta do, I gotta deal with this like real life stuff. But like, that's the cool thing about the art. You're just connected all the time to something that you love to do and you don't have too much time to be depressed. And so anyway, that's worth celebrating. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I promise, but I like that my life is that way.
I can say to the listeners, he toots his own horn all the time off mic. He's always texting me about like how awesome he is. So.
Can you believe how kick-ass I am out here? Come on.
I just get random texts like, don't you think I'm fucking kick-ass? Like,
you're like, yeah, of course.
He's humble on the podcast and rightfully boisterous of himself.
I mean, I think I get to be a little crazy on this podcast, which is what I like. I feel like it's like what sometimes the behind the scenes stuff of like us talking at the movie theater was like, I don't know. Can you imagine if we had like a camera on us that somebody like filmed that we got to watch back like what we were like talking about films back then? I mean, now we can all the time because you can just watch them on YouTube. But when we were kids, like excited about movies for the first time, can you imagine like how stupid and weird and gawky but like awesome we were like talking about like the nerdiest shit in a Suncoast?
I mean, this podcast is pretty stupid, weird, and awesome, so it's not that different than it was back in the day.
More facial hair, I guess. Yeah,
I know this is.
It's looking good. Yeah, it's not as burly as it has been. I feel like you trimmed it down a little bit or something.
Well, this is almost all the way down. That's a big part of it. Yeah. Brought in the sideburns a little bit. This is still full. Beard stash is kind of my new thing right now. So, and I'm very excited for summer. This is going to be like, I have not fucking shaved in like, since the beginning of COVID, maybe once, but like every summer for like the last 4 years has been like a full beard. And I can't believe how much cooler it is. I mean, I'm surprised you did it. So.
Yeah. And you're always talking about how hot you are. It's like, yeah, you dumbass, you got a fucking gigantic beard.
Do I sound that pompous?
No, you don't, but you're always talking about like it's hot in Chicago,
Oh,
like, yeah.
I thought you were saying, me talking myself up. Never mind. Yes, I'm always complaining about. I'm an Irishman. I'm a typical Irishman. I need 57 degrees and overcast. That's my ideal.
And a Guinness in hand.
Yeah, that's certainly my ideal. So yes, I do bring it on myself with the beard sometimes in the hot summers of Chicago. So.
I gotta say, I did see that there you had some old style there, and I haven't had an old style in a very long time. Yeah,
enjoying.
There's a tall boy too, which I like.
The tall boy is the only way to go with old styles.
I know, but yeah, it's been. I guess maybe I had one of those in last September. Yeah, because when I was there visiting. But to anybody listening, old style is the drink of choice on this podcast because that's the Chicago way.
Do they not have old style in California?
No. I think. Are you
serious?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a couple total Chicago bars downtown LA. I've been to one, and I believe I was able to get a Pabst there, maybe an old style, because they ship it in or something like that. But it's other than that, you can't get it anywhere else.
It is funny, like how ubiquitous it is in Chicago. I guess I just take it for granted. I mean, I've always been a Chicago person. I like to travel around, but Chicago's in my heart for sure. But
I mean, all the breweries too in Milwaukee and everything. It's just closer.
Yeah. but like the old style sign in Chicago, you almost like are basically inundated with like, yeah, that's just what beer is. It's almost
did you
like
hear, by the way, not to go down this road and bum you out, but I don't know if you knew the artist Don't Fret.
the
Guy
artist
like kind of created that art for the Chicago handshake, and
Oh.
you would know his art if you saw it. It's all over Logan Square, and he was like a Wicker Park artist. Don't Fret. Anyway, he passed away at the age of 36. I think like a week ago, and it was just really sad because he's always in the scene. I met him a few times, talked to him, and we actually had drinks one time in like 2014. I'm sure, okay, if you're looking at it right now, it's probably very recognizable, but it was just really sad to hear that because just part of, like a true Chicagoan, you know, and you hate to hear about any Chicagoan passing, but he will be remembered as a legendary Chicagoan for sure.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking at his Instagram. I definitely recognize plenty of this, but yeah, I just wasn't familiar with him or his name.
Yeah.
Chicago artist.
Mm-hmm.
Essential.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing here, you know, running a Patreon these days. Got that going. I've been keeping me busy and working a little bit with photography, and yeah, I'm happy, man. How about you?
I love that Patreon you got going on. So fantastic. So it's been going good.
Yeah.
Been hearing good things about it. So 232 days until Avatar 3. We don't have to talk about that. Warren Zevon.
Oh, how could I forget?
Warren
the excitable
Zevon,
boy.
Musical Influence Award, being inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame finally.
Yeah. Did you see Jordan's message about that? He people, I guess, online were just like pissed that it was not an induction.
Yeah, so that's what I don't understand. It's like a separate award, but I mean he's technically inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's just not in the main list. He's like a special achievement award or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess I read what Jordan said, and it was just basically like, this is amazing. This is so great for my dad. Like, this is not, this is nothing to like poo-poo, like,
no.
Yeah, he's in, We love Jordan, or we love Warren Zevon on this podcast. If you haven't figured that out from any other episode you've listened to, and I'm so stoked about that. I'm glad you brought it up because I had it on my list to talk about, and it escaped me because I'm talking about myself, of course.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of the house musician for the podcast. Like, we have our playlist, but it's I'd say it's like the Ramones, and Warren Zevon is just kind of
yes, the Ramones, but more so Warren Zevon. I mean, for sure, it's like the tie that binds us, And honestly, I did listen back to that episode that we did on Zevon in like 2021, maybe real early 2021, and it was about his book Nothing's Bad Luck. If you're listening to this podcast at the 1.5 hour mark and you're still with us, please check that one out. I think that was one of our best episodes. Like, it's different because we were covering a book, but also it was very thought out and it was very researched, I thought, and great conversations about it. We also had some kudos from the writer, actually, at some point commented on our YouTube.
CM Cushions.
Yeah, CM Cushions.
He said he listened to it. He was the author of Nothing's Bad Luck, so he had some kind words. It was awesome. He's, that book is, that book, there's been a lot of books about Warren Zevon, and I've read a good amount, but like that one was easily the best and certainly the most well-written. Yeah. And so I think a huge part of why that was such a success as a book itself and as a celebration was because of his talents as a writer. He's got a couple other books, Beast, about John Bonham and Led Zeppelin. And I actually didn't know about this. It looks like he has one coming out. If it didn't just come out, oh, wow. He's got a biography of Elmore Leonard.
He actually wrote that on the comment back and forth. Maybe you only read the first one. Maybe you only read the first one that he wrote, but I think I wrote like, oh man, thank you so much. And he wrote, I have one coming out on Elmore Leonard. This was like a year ago when he posted that. Well,
so it's still not released yet. Looks like it's coming out this summer. So he must have been like working on it at the time. So Cooler Than Cool, The Life and Work of Elmore Leonard, which I'm definitely reading that day one because I fucking love Leonard. So hell yeah, great author. Love to hear it. So, but yeah, Zevon, the music is just love him more and more as the time goes by. And yeah, it's just awesome that he's getting the more mainstream recognition because yeah, he was always the artist that musicians love, and just not everybody fully appreciated. So
totally. And I'll say this, like right now, I'm with his son Jordan. You know, like any kind of accolades for him, any kind of time that you're still you're still talking about Warren Zevon is a big win. Yeah, that guy, legend in our eyes, and I listen to him all the time. I listen to it. We have a Remainders playlist of it too, if you're interested, on Spotify, of the best of Zevon. So
yeah, I could probably update that because that's just like the Halloween stuff. It changes all the time. My favorite. Yeah, so.
Totally. But it's a good mix, you know, regardless.
Riot Fest lineup for Chicago came out.
Yeah, stacked. It looks really good. This is the first time where I'm like looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, maybe I would like actually fly there for that lineup.
Screeching Weasel, The Damned.
Yep.
Hanson.
Yeah, Lindsay's excited about that.
Fucking Beach Boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just Mike Love. I mean, it's like hardcore punk, and then the Beach Boys are just like slid in there. So it's very heavy on the punk this year. I mean, Riot Fest has always been like punk, but like they've always had like a good amount of metal.
Or like hip hop too, yeah.
Yeah. But this year is like leans heavy into the punk, so pop punk as well. Yeah, should be fun. Jawbreaker. Yeah, there's your Bad Religion, Pogues.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were at Riot Fest? You didn't come
last year?
That's right. We didn't.
I went last year because I was in town.
Oh, that's right. We missed each other because I was complaining so much about the heat. So that's
right. I was like, "What the fuck? Where are you, man?" And you're like, "Oh, I already left, man." Yes. Okay.
That's right. That was.
I mean, but here's the thing about Riot Fest. Just for a second.
Yeah.
We went there, drove a car that my brother had, luckily, or lent us. And we go and park in like the worst fucking neighborhood ever. You know, there's a guy outside with he's like, here's a ticket for you to park on the street. You know, like a zone thing. And I used to live in Chicago for 12 years or whatever it was. So I know what these things look like. And I realized the one he gave me is from 2019. And then I further realized he wanted me to park there so that his buddy down the street could tow us. So we think we're getting this like great deal. The guy's giving us the thing. He's being so nice to us, but his buddy's going to come around and tow us. And then we're going to have to like spend money to get it out of his guy's towing thing. That's the kind of fucker you got to deal with. And then we stayed late because we were talking with Lindsay and Dan and having some drinks after the fest was over. But that's not a place you want to be late night when there's nobody walking around. Okay. So like, you know, that kind of stuff, it's like, it's hard for me because like, I'm like, you know,
I get it.
Why am I risking my life for this? You know? And like, I want to have a good time at the festival, but the whole time you're there, you're like, I have to leave at a good time, you know, and I don't know where I parked and what that's going to be like because dude, Chicago's not necessarily super, you know, super safe all the time. That's
all right. You don't have to sugarcoat it. It's fighting chaos sometimes. So.
Well, I mean, neither is LA. Trust me. But anyway, I don't know why I went on that tangent.
Wait a minute. Did the car get towed?
No, but we saw like that there was a tow truck driver going around, and I saw the guy kind of looking at him. I'm pretty.
So you just didn't even take it to begin with. You didn't park.
Well, he was like, just erase the time on the back of this one. And then when I looked, it said Rahm Emanuel fucking mayor. I'm like, Rahm Emanuel hasn't been mayor since I lived here. You know, and I was like, 2019. So anyway, you know.
Oh my God. Well, I'm happy you avoided that scam because I'd be busting your balls still to this day if you fell for it. So
I know at this point you got to, but at Chicago you got to think on your feet. You gotta be smart. So I'm glad I at least had some Chicago smarts left in me to make that decision.
Yeah, I would have thought that was all beat out of you out on the East Coast. So
not yet.
Well, this year it's Marky Ramone and Weird Al Yankovic. So yeah, you got to come in for that. So
yeah, I wish Weird Al would actually like front Marky's band. That would be pretty kick-ass.
I also love one of my favorite things about the poster for it. The very last name at the very bottom right, Emo Phillips. Which I don't know. Which I don't even know what he like is doing. Is he a musician now, or is he just performing up there? But either way, him being like, I think he posted on Twitter, just like pointing out how stupid it looked, like him being on the very bottom of the poster. Yeah, totally. He's like, "Hey, thanks for fitting me in," or something like that. So,
Emo Phillips.
Still one of the funniest parts of UHF, which is an absolute classic we will cover someday on this podcast. So,
yep.
Just call me Mr. Butterfingers.
All right, you ready to get into the songs of the episode?
Yeah.
I think you know mine. I kind of gave a cat's out of the bag. So that's not necessarily the song that I probably would pick from this record. I'll just say that. But I'd be, in retrospect of the what we're talking about, I think I should choose. It's still a great song. It's just very on par with what we're talking about in this episode about kind of taking advantage of the poor and the people that are, going through it to get.
What was the name of it again?
So the record is called The Empire Strikes First from 2004. If you guys know the song Los Angeles is Burning by Bad Religion, which was very timely this year for that song, but it's about like, that's one of their biggest songs, like later stage, Bad Religion, and it's on this record. Mm-hmm. But like I was saying, the song Let Them Eat War.
Right. Such a great title.
Yeah, Let Them Eat War. And the lyrics are great. You'll enjoy it. Just listen to it. That's all I'll say.
Love it. Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually watched them perform, so I probably should prioritize them this year. So.
Oh, you should. They're awesome. Let's see. Dude, this is like the chorus. Let them eat war. That's how to ration the poor. Let them eat war. There's an urgent need to feed declining pride.
There's an urgent need to feed declining pride. Whoa. Shit. Love it.
It's freedom or it's death. Let them eat war. Huh. Okay, so what about you with your song choice?
I don't know. I was just starting to get hungry. I might get some chicken after this. So.
Ooh.
Thinking about all this like, eating the poor. So
that reminds me of that part in Unbreakable where he's like, "Hey man, come on, I gotta close up. I gotta get some chicken in me."
I say I gotta get some chicken in me on a regular basis because of that movie for 20 years.
Do you really think so? You know
100%, dude. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah, man. When Samuel Jackson's between you and getting some dinner for chicken, I'd be pissed off too. So.
Oh, that's such a great scene, man. Oh, not that we should talk about this, but there, again, you not. This isn't up your alley, but Haley Joel's had some issues lately. I feel bad for the guy because I love Haley Joel Osment, but
I saw him like kicking ass on like a ski thing or something.
Yeah, he was found with cocaine. The classic.
Just living it up.
Well, to be honest with you, I think he's what he's going through is his house burnt down in Altadena, and he basically said, "I went to this like ski lodge to." He's like, "No, it's no excuse, but I went to the ski lodge to try to help my sister like." Alleviate her having to take me in, and I just got fucked up. It's like fucking partying over there, and it just got crazy. And it's probably not a great mental state, losing your home and all that stuff. So anyway, we love Haley. No hate. He did say he said some anti-Semitic shit though. Like, what's weird, he called the guy a Nazi, and then I think he also called him an anti-Semitic word in the same breath. So I don't know if they cancel each other out, but it sounds like he's had to do a lot of apologizing.
I mean, it sounds like cocaine. So
it sounds like cocaine. There you go.
Not? Is what it is. Wait, let's stay on Shyamalan for a second. I forget. Did you see Trap?
I did.
Did you like it?
No, I did not.
I think it's amazing, actually. So I don't know if it is.
Will
it
that
is.
age well? Maybe.
I think it'll actually age well because I remember not really liking it that much, but like I've kept on thinking about it since then, and that's usually a sign for like actually like a good movie. So the fact that it's not forgettable. So
that I saw a screening of Black Mirror at Netflix last year. Yeah. And I met Josh Hartnett and I said, oh, I'm excited. Because at that time, they had just announced that he was going to be in it. And I think the trailer even dropped. And I was like, I told him, I'm so excited for you in the Shyamalan movie. He goes, yeah, it's dark, man. It's dark. That's all he said about it. But like, yeah, it is, but it's also fucking nonsensical. Like,
it's also really fucking stupid. So
it's all, and like,
yeah, but that's a great combination, dark and stupid. I mean, that's right up my alley. So,
and that's why I mean, could it age in a cult classic type of way? Yes, right. I can absolutely see that. I will tell you the one movie that you should definitely not see. Old. That's a fucking.
I still haven't watched it. I know you hate it.
Shit. Yeah. See the movie, just so you can turn it off 10 minutes in.
Right. You've definitely had a campaign against that movie.
Dude, that movie is a piece of shit, and that's hard for me to say that, guys, because I'm a huge Shyamalan fan. I mean, it's just he's so miss when he's miss. It's weird.
At the very least, he's keeping us guessing every time he has a new movie come out. You're like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, is it going to be okay or not? Like when The Visit came around, I was like, he's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Good old Shyamalama Ding Dong. All right. I got a couple songs. I'm going to put one just on the playlist just because it's from the movie today. Brothers in Arms from Junkie XL from the Mad Max Fury Road score. This is the score from the section when they are doing the trade-off halfway in the movie when they're dropping off the gasoline and she has to trust Mad Max to take the rig for the first time, and they drive out of there and they got the gas guys jumping at them in their dirt bikes. Easily one of my favorite pieces of music in an action movie of all time. It's just symphonic. It's propulsive. It's fucking awesome. It's been on like every single one of my running lists since this movie came out. Like every marathon I've ever done is absolutely running to this song because it kicks so much fucking ass. Oh, yeah. I'm sure you recognize the good score, but yeah, re-listening to this piece, I guarantee you'll be, because again, every time I listen to this one track, I'm like, I need to watch Fury Road right now, just after listening to it. So it's so great. So I'm going to put that on the playlist. Actual song of the week. So we talked about how much, like I don't have a social media presence very much, but I do follow Bob Dylan on Instagram. And for whatever reason, not surprising at all. But for whatever reason, he's always been, just random. Like he posts random stuff he likes, his work outside of music, musicians he likes, old performances sometimes. It's not like he's posting every day. It's a pretty random posting, but for whatever reason, he posted a picture of Proof and his album from 2005, Searching for Jerry Garcia. Now, Proof is
the hype man for Eminem, right?
Eminem's hype man from D12. So the fact that Bob Dylan is posting this is just kind of the most random kick-ass thing of all time, because I fucking have always loved Eminem and especially loved D12. I saw D12 twice back in like the early 2000s, like perform here in Chicago. Not surprised about
that either. Yeah, that tracks with you. Yeah.
And Proof has always been kind of one of my favorite parts of D12. Both D12's albums, I listen to those more than most of Eminem's albums to this day, because there's still like the collaboration of that rap team. I fucking love it. So great. And Proof has always been kind of one of my favorites. So seeing him perform with D12 back in the day was always awesome. And for whatever reason, Bob Dylan just posting this random pic of it. I mean, it is 20 years ago from this album, Searching for Jerry Garcia. So I am going to put on the song Kurt Cobain from Proof. Cobain with a K, just FYI. And awesome song, final track on the album. This is only a year before he passed away in 2006. April 11, 2006. Was shot to death. And that's how he lost his life. But
like a billiard hall, right?
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that's gonna be my pick for the week. Just a musician that I fucking love, and I just love the randomness of Bob Dylan, giving him appreciation. So
love that. I don't know if you saw like a little bit ago, like the Wu-Tang the Wu-Tang is going on tour, and I think the RZA was on like Colbert or something like that. And there was like,
nice.
what can we expect from this like thing? I think he said it was like maybe one of the last that they're ever going to do. And he's like, well, it's going to be very, very lyrical.
Mm.
And he would just like spit this amazing fucking lines out. And I was like, man, sometimes like these guys who like know how to write hip hop and stuff like that, they just really are in tune with the world and, you know, how to speak to people and poetry like that, you know, like there's such not, I mean, obviously not hip hop and there's a, you know, rock and roll and punk rock and stuff like that too. But there's like no better way to like be connected to stuff like when you're going through something or you're like thinking about the world or something than to like connect to a good lyric, you know? And I wanted to say, by the way, I wanted to say, by the way, that I love that song "Toy Soldiers" by Eminem that came out about the like proof and everything after he died.
Yeah,
I really love that tune.
Yeah, this one, Kurt Cobain. It's got this '70s vibe to it, and the lyrics are. I mean, he mentions Eminem in it and his daughter, and it's just very. I don't know. I mean, in hindsight of him passing away the next year, it's just got much more of a tragic / beautiful kind of vibe to the lyrics and the tone of it. Because, like I said, the beat like sounds amazing. It almost sounds like it would be out of like a '70s exploitation film or something, and it just fits so perfectly in it. So yeah,
kick ass! Can't wait to hear it. I've never heard it, so I can't. You know, like most times, you're usually showing me what's cool.
Yeah, one way we do it on the podcast. Cool is a subjective vibe. Chaotic and random is more appropriate in my mind, at least. So, because that's more fun. So that's what I like. So,
well, I will tell you that I'm pretty sure this is the longest episode. I would think maybe at 151 we're clocking in here. Maybe the longest episode of Remainders we've had, but for good reason. Because we're covering Mad Max Fury Road, and there was a lot to say. I think this was one of my favorite episodes. I like the way it flowed. I like how things were just popping up, and we're kind of like going where we're supposed to go. And I think we covered it pretty like thoroughly too, don't you think?
I think if we had microphones on back in the days of Suncoast, it would sound pretty close to this.
Yeah, this is like kind of the point, right?
Right.
Hell yeah! All right, man. Well. Hopefully, God, no pressure, Darren, but I got to pick a good one for next week because this is a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna watch it over and over. I'm sure if you're out there and you've listened this far, you've gone and rented it and are gonna enjoy it tonight because holy shit, 10 years. This movie is aging very well.
Good art always does so, especially fun, crazy action flicks. So.
All right. Well, with that, enjoy yourself over there until I see you next time. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you over on 2 weeks later.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.